Yeah.
Okay, now ours is on.
Okay. So, let's roll.
Mayor, if we could, we'd like to kind of run through the agenda. Visit with you a little bit about what we need to bring for action next week on the city stop loss insurance. And then we do have need of a closed session today. Kelly, are you here? No? There you are. Item number 2, first reading of an ordinance changing the zoning of the tract of land at Southwest 27th and Paramount Boulevard, multiple family district 1 to general retail. This is for a beauty salon in an existing location in a kind of a transitional area. Kelly?
This particular request is basically just kind of east of the Olson Paramount intersection. It's an area with a lot of different types of land, which is very impactfully developed. But bottom line, this actually was a business for quite some time, and I guess technically it was operating illegally. But that tenant has moved out, and the space is for rent. It's been for rent for a little while, and the beauty salon would like to move in. So the building is already there, and currently it's zoned multifamily. But the office building is actually already there. It's built. It looks like an office building. I don't know how you can make any multifamily use out of it other than...
And you get general retail on both sides?
It's general retail to the east.
Well, this has to be to the west.
It's to the west.
I'm sorry, to the west.
That's where Jay Winston's used to be, and
right.
Before that, those cleaners or whatever it was.
Yeah. The cleaners is still there.
And the cleaners is actually right next door to it on the west side.
Like block 16. 16.
Below it, to the south, adjacent to it is another office building, and then you have some single-family type condominiums that across the alley to the south that go east. So, and then to the east of this property, there's one sort of a duplex-looking building, and then there's a daycare. So, and across the street to the north are some high-density resident apartment complex. So really, given that this is operated as a non-residential use for years, the building's already there and you have general retail already adjacent to it. Considering what's immediately around it, planning and zoning commissioners did not think that expanding the general retail to lot 17, if you're looking at your sketch, lot 17 is where the actual building is. Lot 18 is actually a parking lot for the building. That expanding the general retail over those two lots would create any additional negative impacts that aren't there already, and still buffers it from the single-family detached uses that are to the south and southeast. We sent out property owner notices. We haven't gotten any negative responses back. And given the existing circumstances, they felt it was appropriate and voted to approve it, recommend approval of it.
Todd Gray. Is he a doctor? Todd somehow.
Didn't he had chiropractic?
I don't know. Yeah.
After chiropractic?
There you go.
He's about to get into the beauty salon business, I guess. And he's going into
3 man.
Looks good.
Do pedicure.
Today's about
Thank you. Sorry.
Item 3, this is a resolution approving the 2010-2011 operating budget for the Amarillo Potter Events Venue District. The standard budget for them, as a reminder, the entirety of this budget is funded through a 5% tax that's added to what's called short-term car rentals, so basically your standard rental car agreements, and 2% that is a part of the hotel occupancy tax that is collected. The Events Venue District operates, of course, the Amarillo National Center and some of the other properties out at the Tri-State Fairgrounds, They were also the funding source for the renovations that were done on the north side of the Amarillo Civic Center. So the piece of that was funded by the venue district. They also helped support both the operations and the long-term capital maintenance of those facilities. Mr. Frigo, the master of all things budget, is available if we have any questions. Like many of them, standard one read and we're done with it.
Okay.
Now, how much is the car tax here?
5%.
That's it?
Yeah, it's close to 700,000.
I mean, is that?
No, that's not the total.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Total car rental tax.
Is it like 16%?
You add the state stuff.
Oh,
into it,
no, I didn't have the
14.
state. Okay, I'm sorry, I was thinking just the local. Yeah, I think you're right, Jerry.
14. Dallas is 16, isn't it?
Then a lot of the cities have an add-on that shows up on that that's above and beyond the state local
They
tax.
got all kinds of taxes. Card, cell phone bill. Okay, sir. Any questions?
Item number, sorry.
Just make sure nobody had any questions.
Item number 4 is a resolution allowing you, the city commission, to state your support for the state of Texas to continue funding services provided by the Texas Panhandle Mental Health Mental Retardation. They have requested that we do this. This is in, of course, preparation for the upcoming legislative session and their 2-year budget. Good organization. You appoint members to that, and they've all done well.
Very needed operations.
Very good.
Very much.
Okay, sir.
Consent agenda. Item number 1 is our annual purchase of water meters. You can see we're buying a little over 1,300 of them that we'll use throughout the year. These are used both to replace old meters that have just worn to the point we don't need them on the system. They're used anytime we have a citizen request an accuracy check on their meter. We walk out and drop a new one in, take the old one out, test it. And then hopefully for new connections that are added throughout the course of the year.
I don't know why, but I would expect the water meters to be more expensive.
You may be remembering the years that we were buying the radio meters.
Oh,
Y'all quit doing that?
Well, we still buy them, but we don't buy many of them. We've got the worst areas, worst being difficult for us to go and read the meters. We have most of those covered with the radio reads. So now you can pull that radio part off and just put standard meter, put it all back together again. Those are much more expensive.
yeah.
The next item is the annual purchase of hot mix asphalt. As in the 2 previous years, you'll recall this is one of the commodities when the price of oil spiked that we couldn't get a bid. And bids that we did get, were held for a total of 5 days, etc. With this, with a product called AC5 and some other asphalt-based deals, we've gone to these proposals where they give us an upfront price and then an index. And we buy off of that, and then throughout the year, if the price of that index goes up or goes down, there's a pre-agreed adjustment in the contract. It's really worked pretty well. Of course, all of this here only comes from the Valero plant, so there's only one index for us to work against. The other providers are so far away that by the time they pay their transportation charges, it just doesn't work. This has worked. This is not the company that had it last year, I believe.
That's correct. I mean,
It is last year.
It is not.
really?
Last year, it was
I think it was Milligan.
Advanced Paving is when they had a contract.
So where do they keep it? In their yard? Or?
They manufacture it on demand.
It's much like concrete, except this is just a hot mix cement used. They make it as needed.
Using the index price, this would represent 18,000 tons of this particular material. More or less as we need it, more or less if the price changes. Here, item C is an alley paving contract. This is the alley that runs north and south behind the new fire station paving. And we need to do this as a result. I'm sure y'all have driven by the station. There's some Pretty interesting elevation.
Yes, there are.
Made a great looking deal, but it didn't help the alley any.
Kind of futuristic looking.
Kind of futuristic. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of neat. 12 will look just like that, except it's flipped. And it'll be flat. But it's reversed. The doors are on the other side of it. Anyway, as a part of building that and cutting those grades in there, we now need to come in and pave that alley. It will not predominantly be used by fire trucks. It will be used by service vehicles, and of course, we owe it to the homeowners up and down that block to maintain their access to the rear of the property. So that's this. It will be funded out of the set aside for Station 8 that came from the 2007 certificate of obligation.
Okay, thank you, sir.
The next item, we're accepting the 3 largest operating grants that we get each year from the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. We're really close. We're down just a hair over $5,000 from these same 3 grants in the prior year. So with what's been going on around the states with a lot of libraries either being cut or closed or only open on the weekends, we're real pleased that we've not changed our operating hours and we've just almost got full funding still from the state. Long running grants, we've been getting these for a long time.
Questions?
The next item, Mayor, is your approval of the annual agreement for services or the contract with the Center City of Amarillo. We have Center City here with us today.
Miss Center City herself.
Miss Center City herself. I've seen her wearing the sash. She doesn't have it today, but she does have it. Of course, as y'all well know, Center City does a great job promoting downtown Amarillo and helping through the facade grant and other programs that they do. They've once again asked you to maintain level funding, and this is the 4th year that they have maintained that request for you. So very pleased with not only what they do, but how they spend the money that you provide them.
And we're going to be, I think, in the next year or 2, relying on them heavily. So we appreciate everything you do. It's really good.
Dumb question. I don't know whether it's directed to you or you.
If it's hard, it's good.
Well, I mean, when you go to your budget and have a discussion on it, why do we not approve this at the same time?
I think it's because it's a contract.
It's a contract.
So I present
It's in
the
the
budget to show you
Yeah,
where I'm going to use them.
This amount was in the budget. I went back and checked that.
But it's
Take
because of the
separate action.
contract.
Okay. No problem. Operation.
Connect to the dots there.
Now you have to try.
And thankfully, all the numbers tied back together, so
Yeah.
all that's good.
That's good. Okay.
Thank you. We can do it, gotcha.
So are we.
Right. Mayor, if we could, I'd like to ask Dean to come up and spend a few minutes talking to you about our proposed purchase of stop-loss insurance for the city's health plan. We need to make a decision on that next week, or more appropriately, you will need to make a decision on that next week. We have 2 proposals that we received. Dean has prepared a summary of that. Your insurance committee has met and reviewed the 2 proposals, and we've asked Dean to just kind of go over that with you, briefly tell you what our recommendations will be, get your thoughts, and then we'll come back next week to close that for action. Mr. Frieda?
Excuse me. I was hoping to be here a week earlier. When we originally had the bid submission date, we only had 1 RFP, so we had to hold it open for another week to get the second RFP. We had more than that in market assignments, but we only ended up with 2 RFPs. The first one is from our incumbent, ING, a good company, A-rated. We have a good relationship with ING. They know us, we know them. They've even come down and reviewed how we pay claims. With ING, we have access to 2 transplant networks, which if we had an employee or retiree or family member that needed a transplant, we could access these networks and then we would pay based on a percentage of savings. So we do have these two networks with ING. We asked this year, in addition to the specific quote for an aggregate coat, the specific we've been using is $750,000, whereas the city absorbs the first $750,000, then the insurance kicks in. With aggregate, you look at the total claims, and we asked them to bid aggregate at 125% of claims and 135% of claims. But they capped their total exposure on aggregate at $1 million. So with aggregate, you have to subtract all the specifics they paid, then reach your 125% threshold, and then they'd be only out $1 million. So it's really not that good a coverage for us. The specific is really the better coverage. Unfortunately, ING increased their premium quite a bit. We have not had, much in the way of claims.
One total?
Yeah, one, they paid $32,000 on. But they went from $3.89 for individual per month to $7.58, and from family, $11.31 to $13.79. That would increase our premiums from about $203,000 a year to $288,000.
4,000 lives.
You think they increase those premiums in anticipation of healthcare going up? If you didn't have that much in
Now, wait a
premium?
minute, I thought Mr. Obama's taking care of all this, don't worry about it, doesn't cost you anything, it's gonna be free. You're gonna pay my car payments and my health insurance.
You're retired.
Good for you.
You don't have to pay taxes anymore.
I missed it somewhere.
Well, while in the new healthcare law, there is no lifetime limit, in these stop loss proposals, they're still including limits like that. So their exposure really hasn't changed that much. They didn't assume any more liability just because there is more liability. I don't have a good explanation why they went up. Our claims experience has not been that bad.
Could you turn
How
them
about the
in?
individuals?
Pardon?
Have you had a lot of individual claims?
We've got
They
three
pay most.
phenomenally stable years
Yeah.
in our claims
You
paid.
haven't had anybody hit a specific?
Well, like I say, the one time it was 32,000.
Excuse me?
The way these, it's 750,000 in a calendar year. So if your one claim splits years, you can be out then too. So that's when we hit the 32, it lapped over in another year. So,
But even with their increase up to $7.58, that's
It's
still
still-
half
What?
of what Aetna.
well, now Aetna was a
And I don't
complicated,
need to be getting ahead of you, so.
it was a complicated proposal, and that's why I wanted to talk to you about it. What we were looking for was stop loss coverage that we could access networks on an ad hoc basis. That, like with a transplant, if we had somebody that needed a transplant, we would have a transplant network. But we also have retirees that live out of town, and we wanted access to out-of-town networks. Again, we could access on an ad hoc basis. Well, the Aetna proposal went well beyond that, and we would be merged into Aetna. Our plan would be. We would literally be part of the Aetna network. We would have an Aetna card instead of the City of Amarillo card. The claims processing would be done literally by Aetna, and they would do the pre-cert and the claims management also. So, and then they shot us a pretty good price for the stop loss in that. In fact, it was about $200,000 compared to the $288. But then you have to pay for the network. They wanted $18 to almost $19 per employee per month, which would have been $365,000 to $383,000. So the savings on the stop loss got soaked up pretty quick. In fact, we'd be paying about $284,000 or $85,000 more because of the network fees. So in their best and final, we told them that wasn't satisfactory. So in best and final, they came back and said, we'll do a cost sharing with you. But the cost sharing formula is the difference between the bill price and the Aetna contract.
Not our contract.
Not our contract. We already have good contracts locally with doctors groups, labs, hospital. So the savings were made to look larger than they would be if it's comparing Aetna bill charges to Aetna contract. They wouldn't compare bill charges to our contract, or the Aetna to our contract. So they think we would still save 2%. We don't have any way of verifying that calculation. And in short, we'd be making a lot of disruption in our health plan for no real guarantee of savings. Now, we would get a broader network, for sure.
Hey, can I ask you this? Now, currently, when people call to pre-cert medical services, verify coverage and the like, who's making those decisions? Do you have somebody that you're contracting with outside?
We have a UR nurse.
You make it with the UR nurse right here. So they're basically saying they want to supplant all that.
Yes. And she does the case management also for the large cases, because, you know, if you've got a big health problem, you don't know what to do, she kind of guides you through the process.
What does she do when and I'll get to the bigger point here in a minute. What does she do when somebody tries to pre-cert a surgery, for example, that may not be justified? Does she send that out to an outside consultant for an opinion?
We have a doctor that would consult.
You do that too. Okay. So you've really got all that covered.
And she also works at our clinic.
And your healthcare client and your cost of healthcare with City Care Clinic has basically been flat now for 3 to 4 years.
I'd like to think we're smart, but probably just lucky.
So you're doing everything as good as it can actually possibly be done.
Well, I always think.
I mean, I'm just as an outside person looking in. So why would you even consider?
If there's some real savings to be had, I think, you know, that is something to consider, but it's going to be pretty disruptive and you may not see any savings.
We may have trouble getting it back, because basically our contracts will have been superseded at that point.
And I might have been trying to do too much with one proposal, because I did want an ad hoc network for retirees that we could have a hospital like for Allen to go to. Because that's where we're vulnerable. If we have somebody get hurt when they're on vacation and land in a hospital that we don't have any good rates with.
Well, that's true for anybody's hospitalization.
But there are other networks out there that are pretty broad that have those deals, and you can usually get on an as-needed basis and share in the savings.
So that would be your advantage with Aetna, is you have a nationwide network with contracted prices that would protect you.
And I could get that on an ad hoc basis. I was trying to do too much with one proposal.
I think Aetna gave us something we need to look at. They didn't give us what we were asking for. Looking for a stop loss product.
They took it as an opportunity.
And they've opened our eyes. I think that staff definitely needs, because our first hurdle is just one of timing. We need to be sure that we make a choice to have or not have stop loss and to get it in place. Secondly, through the course of the year, and being in the insurance committee, need to look at the access to other networks. As good as it appears Aetna gave, that's now the only one we've seen, and they gave something we
No, we've been looking at other networks before this, so.
Well, but we've not put them out.
No.
They're usually like $4.50, I guess.
But you can usually get wrap contracts
Right.
where when you access them, you pay.
Hey, the only thing I'd say is just, whoever's providing this is get them to say there's no gaps between the policy and, you know how you have the policy booklet? The trick in the trade now is that ING will not match up exactly what your policy is. And so there's a gap sometimes in the coverage. Like you think you have coverage for everything, just make sure that they write you a letter to there's no gaps.
Okay.
Like they'll carve out this service or that.
They just say this is what we pay for, and we don't adhere to your policy booklet.
Oh, they'll say things like not including complications, bariatric surgery.
It's just a trick
or
of the
whatever.
trade right now. That's how they're
Okay.
saving money that they're doing.
You trying to cheat people?
And then also make sure it's an advancing policy, which means that, let's say you had that $1 million claim, you had $750,000, premium, or the $750, that they pay you immediately and they don't wait till the end of the policy year.
Okay.
It's free. It's just your cash flow. You just don't have to pay for it. You just let the
Sit on it
insurance.
for the year.
Good.
Only two things.
Good advice.
Can I ask y'all something now? We paid 200,000 last year, right?
Yes.
And we actually collected 32,000.
Yes.
How do y'all feel about the concept of stop loss? Because we didn't have it before. How do you feel about the concept of stop loss considering those numbers?
Well, we've had good success. That doesn't mean we can continue to roll 7-11s. We can crap out any time.
Oh, I mean, one bad day we have.
Yeah.
Hey, can I,
If it's outside our network, we could really get zinged.
on your specific stop loss too, it usually only goes up to $1.2 million, so you need to leave that. I just want you to know that.
Of course,
It's usually not
The
unlimited.
specifics.
What you got?
I've got them up to 4 million.
Okay, that's fine, I'm just telling you. They're supposed to match your policy booklet, but they don't. That's that gap that I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
It'd be hard to spend 4 million in network, but
And you just did not get the number of responses you would have anticipated or expected, or people just holding on to their...
I had hoped for more responses, and we went through first market assignments, and the local brokers asked for certain markets, but when it came down to bid, I called Neely Craig, and they just didn't feel theirs was competitive, so they didn't submit it.
Why do you think that is, man? Nobody wants this business.
Probably because you paid your own claim.
That's a good point.
We thought that with Aetna's proposal.
And actually, Aetna came down and looked at our claims payment before they made a proposal also.
If you did an audit, you would solve that problem. You just never have done an audit on your plan, so.
Do you mean from their perspective, they're thinking, well, you're going to fall outside
I'm gonna
and make claims on these
for-
policies because we're...
Well, it's our own plan, so I like Jared, so let's pay his plan,
Oh, yeah.
we'll help him out, it's our own plan, we can do what we want to do, so. Insurance company are kind of strict on all that now.